It doesn't really matter if you're the buyer of a house or the seller of a house. The term home inspection strikes fear into the heart of everybody involved. This episode, we're going to talk a little bit about home inspections, what to expect, what to try to avoid, and how to get through it without pulling your hair out. You're going to want to watch this. Because Paula and I work with both buyers and sellers, we have kind of a unique perspective on this. From the seller side, I try to convince my sellers to be proactive. Before you list the house, get an inspection done. That way you know going in and can correct before it goes on the market some of the items, the miscellaneous stuff. And there's going to be, oddball stuff, wall coverings that need to be replaced, or, just a bunch of oddball little stuff. Get that taken care of before you get the house on the market. Some of the major items you're going to want to look at are, for instance, roofing. Here in Florida, we get 15 to 18 years out of a roof. If it's getting to be at the end of your roof, your life cycle for the roof, we're going to have to talk about it. If the home inspector discovers a bunch of water damage, especially in the attic, there's a roof leak, it's got to be dealt with. If there's water damage inside the house on the ceiling, that's usually when you find out about a roof leaking, is when it comes through the ceiling. We have to deal with that. DIYers. Over the years, we've lived there, or from people that lived there before you, projects have been done. They may not have all been permitted. They may not all been done correctly. I've seen toilet stools that have been put in by the homeowner they're so wobbly that you almost have to have a seatbelt on it to be able to sit on it. Things like that need to be addressed. Not every DIY project goes well. Not every DIY project is up to code. Just be aware of that kind of information that would come from the home inspection you do. Another big issue is shoddy wiring. If you've got an outdated or uninsurable electrical box, that's going to be a problem. The buyers can't get insurance on the house, they can't buy the house. If the electrical box you have is too small for the house, or has, over the years we've added stuff to it, so it's become too small, or there are double taps in there. A double tap is where two wires come into a single fuse. That's a fire hazard for you, and it's an electrical issue for the buyers. Plugs that don't work, electrical wall circuits, wall switches that don't work, wires that are bare. I've seen wires go out in the garage, and for whatever reason they just took a cable and ran it across the garage and plugged a light into it. That's not code, and it's going to be an issue. Here in Florida, we can't live without air conditioning. So the HVAC unit, the heating and ventilation air conditioning unit, is going to have to be dealt with. If it's extremely old, maybe you're going to have to think about replacing it. You may have to work a deal out with the buyers. It's hard to tell at this point in time, but an inspection will tell you that, so you at least know going in there could be an issue. Maintenance items like dryer vents, they should be cleaned anyhow. I mean, you should clean them every year anyhow, but I've seen them where they're so packed with lint that it's just blowing back out of the vent into the laundry room. Items like that are just maintenance that you need to take care of. Painting the outside, caulking the windows, caulking around the tub and the shower, sealing that stuff up so we don't have water damage. If you do that stuff now, it will look a lot better when the home inspector for the buyer comes in and it's already done. That's one less item we're going to have to deal with. The day of the inspection, get your pets out of there. They may be the sweetest pet in the world, but the inspector does not need to be dealing or tripping over a dog that's trying to jump up on them and have fun and play. The inspector's there to do his job. Let him do his job without worrying about dogs, or cats for that matter. Clean the house up. Yes, the inspector is not there to look at how clean the house is. But if he's got to trip over boxes, he's got to trip over stuff to get to this thing, it's not going to, well, it shouldn't affect the house, but it will affect his job and his ability to get in, get out, and get it over with. So just tidy up. It doesn't, you have to go through and wax the floors, but tidy up a little bit. Just make it easy to get in and get out of that place. Remember, the buyer will probably be with him and will be going through the house for a couple, 3 hours this time instead of just a 15-minute trip through. They're gonna be snooping around looking at stuff too, like the ceilings and the floors and the whatever. If they go in there and there's just junky looking, they're gonna start to wonder about, the maintenance on the house. Just avoid that whole situation by cleaning up a little bit before everybody gets there for the inspection. Okay, so on the buyer side, every house on the planet has an issue. Do not go in there thinking that this house is perfect, because it is not. I'm sure there's going to be problems. There are issues in brand new houses. On the other side of the coin, all these issues can be fixed. In the report you're going to get back, it's going to be 40 pages long, and it's going to list a bunch of stuff in there. A lot of it is fluff. It is designed to give you things to do over the years and maintenance things to keep track of, like cleaning the vents. It's designed to keep you out of trouble by doing some maintenance on it. The front couple of pages should have a summary and should list the things that are really wrong with the house, and they should be listed in different colors. Mainly the red ones is what we're looking at, and those are the things that have to be dealt with sooner than later. A lot of times it's water damage, and water is a big issue in Florida, either from the sky or from the ground. It's not that we have a lot of floods, but water does come up out of the ground. After it drops out of the sky, it hits the ground, comes back up, so it floods. You have to look for a water intrusion. Especially if you like a wood floor, it's going to show up. In the ceilings, it's going to show up in circles or brown circles in the ceiling. In the attic, it's going to show up if it's not gotten that far. In the attic, it's going to show up as leaks, and it'll be obviously, you'll be able to see it, or the inspector will, and they will point it out. If it's an active leak, it'll be wet. He's got a little meter he's going to put on there. He'll tell you how much water's in it and if the leak is still active or not. If it's an old leak the stain has been there for 10 years because they, replaced the roof, that's not a big deal. If the leak is still wet, that's an active leak. That's going to be an issue. So on the buyer side, some of the other things you want to look at are, when it comes back, is the roof, the condition of the roof, the age of the roof. How much longer of a life cycle does it have? Air conditioning, is it functioning? Just because it's old doesn't mean it's not good. A 20-year-old air conditioner will still be working just as well as a 2-year-old air conditioner if it's been maintained. Keep in mind, inspectors cannot predict the future. They're taking a snapshot right now of the house. They don't know how things are changing. They can't be 100% accurate on the age of the roof. They can't be 100% accurate on the age of the air conditioning. It's not that it's a guess, but it's sure is a good estimate. In the end, as a buyer, you need to balance your love of the house for the dollar signs you see in fixing it up or repairing these little issues. All these issues can be repaired over time, and a lot of them are going to be that way. You're going to have wall plug outlet covers that are not on, or they're cracked. You're going to have to replace that. That's just part of owning a house. Things that you're going to have to work with the seller are on major items, the safety and the health concerns, the roof, the HVAC, leaks, puddles in the yards. That kind of stuff is going to have to be dealt with at the outset and either settled or repaired in some fashion. The home inspection does not have to be the most stressful part of the deal. It is an issue. It can be worked through. Keep an open mind. Remember, as a buyer, no house is perfect. As a seller, you have to remember your house is not perfect. So you've got to come together on these things and work them out. most of the time, I mean, and I'm talking 99% of the time, it's a non-issue. The house has got some defects, and the buyers and the sellers come together and negotiate, part of a new roof or whatever. It's nothing that can't be worked out if you keep an open mind and don't get mad at the other person just because they ask something. Talk to your realtor. That's what they're there for. They will help walk you through this. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments down below. I will get back to you as soon as I can. I did put together a checklist. It looks kind of like that to take with you on your home inspection, because you need to be at the home inspection as a buyer. Take the list, check off these things. It's the major issues. It's the major items that you need to be concerned about, and this way, at least you'll have a map of what's going on. The link is down below. It says something about home inspection checklist, I think is the way it's labeled down there. If you have any questions, comments, I'll be happy to answer them. First time visitor, please click on the subscribe button down in the corner. If you want to be notified of our next video, click on the notification bell as well. And if you happen to like the video, do the thing down at the deal with the thumbs up button. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to talking to you next time.